Okay, so it's running now. So, guys, I'm going to do a really quick lesson. In just a second. There we go. And it's going to be on competitive and comparative advantages in international business. Okay. So here we go. We're going to start with a question. Why should we want to study international business? So an increasingly growing portion of the world's total business is now considered to be international business. We already know international business is any business in any industry that is doing business across borders, any two borders, so any two countries involved. Then you've got international business, okay? Global events and competition affect almost all companies, large and small, either directly or indirectly. So that means prices of goods purchased overseas, different cheaper resources, cheaper labor costs. Directly or indirectly, all companies at this point are pretty well affected by international business. So to operate effectively, companies must understand their external environment. So there's three major areas: physical, societal, and competitive. And then international operations, foreign conditions are added to domestic conditions, which leads to increased diversity. Okay, so I've made this little chart here. I'm going to go over the physical and societal influences. I would like you to have a look in your textbook, though, on this third column here, reasons to expand operations. So if you have a look in your textbooks on page 50 to 52 in chapter 2, you can read about different reasons to expand operations internationally. But we're going to look closely at the physical and societal influences as to why we might operate our business internationally. So we're going to start with the economic conditions. So the fundamental economic problem is that there's limited resources and unlimited wants and needs, right? So no, there's a different one. So this is the fundamental economic problem. There's two parts to this. One is that resources are limited, and the second one is that our wants and needs are unlimited. Okay, these are two parts to the same problem. So what is this concept called? We're talking about scarcity. Okay, so a company must make decisions on how they spend their money, how they utilize their resources, and I think we've already talked about opportunity cost in our last lesson, right? So each country has different needs, different resources, education levels, types of industry, transportation, economic stability. So these can all be benefits or hindrances. The manager of a company must have a strong grasp of all of these factors when deciding to go international with their business. So some political and legal factors: advertising regulations, safety inspections, contract approval, merger approval, such as the merger between TD and Canada Trust, which happened a number of years ago now. Political leaders set controls to determine how domestic and international business takes place. So a lot of you may know about the embargo on trade between Cuba and the United States. And if you don't know what an embargo is, it's restrictions placed on pretty well all trade between two countries, usually because of political reasons sparked by war or other controversy. So I had this example here about Lucasfilm. They cannot distribute any of the Star Wars movies to Cuba because of the trade restrictions with the US. You can read now a little bit on how Cuba and the USA are loosening some of the embargo restrictions right now on trade. This is an ongoing issue. Okay, continue with cultural and social factors. So you have factors such as language, education, religion, values, ethics. There's different customs and social relationships and in countries that may have a major impact on business between different companies. And we talked before about the book Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands. Learning the different customs and social norms are very important when dealing internationally. And we've got geographical influences. So when we're talking about geographical influences, we're talking about physical locations, the quantity, quality, and availability of the world's resources. Uneven distribution of resources leads to different products and services being offered around the world. So we've got physical barriers like mountains, jungles, and natural disasters, earthquakes, monsoons, and hurricanes, which can affect investment, availability of supplies, price of products, as well as communication and transportation. Okay, so then we get to the competitive environment. So the competitive environment varies by industry, company, and country, as do international strategies to gain a competitive edge. So different types of competition, they directly influence the price of their product and the supply of the product on the market. International firms may face a different competitive climate in other countries. Some companies will face intense competitive pressures when markets do expand globally. I've got a list here, and I'll post this link separately, but we've got a list here on Wikipedia of the different Pepsi variations found all over the world. Different flavors more of Pepsi, like something that you might drink. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, Pepsi that you buy in Japan might be different than Pepsi that you buy here. It's different all over the world. It's pretty interesting. Okay, so companies, industries with homogeneous products. Now, what are homogeneous products? I mentioned copper, tubing, farming, and wood. Homogeneous products are products that don't really vary by the supplier. There's no way to differentiate between the copper sold by company X and company Y. So they are forced to compete pretty well only on price. This means that where these homogeneous products are a little less scarce, or they can produce or distribute them more efficiently, they're able to sell those goods cheaper than they can in other countries or other areas. So that gives them a competitive edge. So they compete more on price, and companies with differentiated products like technology, brand names, and gas, they have to compete more on developing better equipment to get their costs down. They have more efficient operating methods, large-scale production, which is a more efficient operating method, or locating cheap labor and resources, such as going overseas. And this is one of our reasons for becoming a multinational or international company. So the competitive market varies depending on the size of the domestic market. These companies may be forced to promote foreign sales and spending more on distribution. Okay, so then we get into four different models of competition. So these models are used as aids for business firms to determine the price and amount to produce, and each is reviewed under this criteria. So the number of firms in the industry. Okay, so how big is the market? The type of product, so the industry itself, the ease of entry into the industry. This is speaking mainly on costs involved. The firm's control over the price, then the firm's use of non-price competition. So here are the different types of competition. We've got perfect competition. That's a competitive situation in which many thousands of firms, each selling an identical product. So there you've got perfect competition. They're in perfect competition with one another. They're selling an identical product, so they need to come up with an advantage to give them a competitive edge. Then you've got a monopoly. So monopolies occur when one seller of a good or service exists in a given industry. It's like Microsoft. Microsoft owns the PC side of computers. So Windows, desktop computers, laptops. Then an oligopoly. So a competitive situation characterized by an industry that's comprised of only a few firms. So like in, I've got Nike here as an example. So in sporting goods supply or clothing. And then many differentiated sellers. So it describes a competitive situation with many sellers of a similar but slightly different product. So maybe cell phones. So we talk about fast food hamburger joints in Canada. That's an example of an oligopoly because there's only 4 or 5 companies that make up the majority of the market share. And then a question for you guys, will this type of competition exist if one or more of these companies expands into another country? If you want.
Well, it depends. Like certain countries, like maybe they kind of find it kind of like plain and like very full, but that's what they're real restaurant. It's like real burgers and we have like flavors like this artificial sandwich maybe not, but in some countries yes. So yeah.
Yeah. No, the discussion posts online are, that's how I'm marking you guys for that, those parts of the assignment.
Is that also due to
The ones from last week? Yeah. Who has the competitive edge? So this is just based on some research. The golden arches, McDonald's, they were #1. The stock fell from $48 to $21 in the last 2 years. So then the question might be why? Is it because they have too many new products? I've got a pretty good video on this that I'll have to post the link separately. Poor advertising, so they're not promoting the health benefits or their healthy products, or is it just because it is an unhealthy food choice and there's growing concern about healthy eating? Is it because of the fierce competition? New choices entering the market? And then mad cow disease in foreign markets. This was, I guess, more of an issue a few years back. And brand identity crisis. So what does McDonald's stand for? And then at the same time, Wendy's is surging. And you might argue that they're selling almost the same product. So you ask yourself why. So here's a couple of links that I'm not going to show you now, but I'll post these up on the news section of the website. Okay, so a quick review for you guys. Competitive advantage. So companies wish to obtain a competitive advantage that allows them to outperform their competitors by producing a superior product, offering better pricing, better service, and operating more efficiently, and realizing more profit as a result, or simply offering a unique product that is not already in the marketplace. A company can measure their competitive advantage in a number of ways. So they can measure it by market share, customer demand, customer loyalty, distribution channels, quality of service, or partnerships with suppliers. These can all positively affect their competitive advantage and give them an edge over other companies in the same industry. It's important to note that when we're talking about competitive and comparative advantages, we're discussing international business for the most part, but this exists obviously domestically as well. video, or this should be posted automatically. I've already posted that next we're going to head to D2L. Read the content there in Activity 4. You can take notes on the content, but that'll be posted there for you for the majority of the semester. And then complete all the assignments and discussions posted there. And I'll add a due date to that, but you guys should have plenty of time. There's some videos for Activity 4 that you can watch and some stuff to listen to, and then you're just going to answer some questions. I posted 2 new folders in the Dropbox under Activity 4 there, okay, for both assignments, one on Bombardier and one on the softwood lumber crisis. And a question was asked about the discussions. I can't put a due date on the discussions, but I do want to make sure that you participate in those discussions, you know, beginning tonight, because that way we can actually get a class discussion going in there. I mean, all of you are responsible for starting your own thread, so I realize it's not going to be a big discussion, but I'd like you to post your discussions, you know, within the next day or so, and then we all have an opportunity to read everyone else's posts and we can respond.
Like the discussion for this activity or the last activity?
For both. Well, the one for the last activity I expect is done by tonight. Okay, so here's a quick list of what we've done so far. I can leave this up here for you guys. Yep. Okay, I'll help you with that. Yeah, you can tell. Okay, so that's it for today. Thanks, guys.